International Building Code, or IBC, does not specifically prohibit recessed cans in building walls. However, it mandates that all electrical installations adhere to the National Electrical Code, otherwise known as the NEC. The National Electrical Code Article 410.17 stipulates that recessed luminaires or fixtures must be installed according to the manufacturer's instructions. Several NEC requirements govern the installation of recessed cans in walls. Firstly, luminaires must be listed for installation in fire-rated assemblies, such as walls or ceilings. Secondly, luminaires installed near combustible materials must be protected by thermal insulation or other approved methods. Thirdly, luminaires must be enclosed in a box or other approved means securely fastened to the structural members of the building. Fourthly, the enclosure must be grounded in accordance with NEC requirements, typically using a ground wire connected to the electrical system. A V1499s are a type of light-emitting diode, OLED recessed can manufactured by Lithonia Lighting. The manufacturer's instructions for V1499s include specific requirements. Firstly, the luminaire requires a removable plaster frame or other approved trim kit. Secondly, the luminaire must be installed in an underwriter's laboratories or all listed junction box that is securely attached to the structural members of the building. Thirdly, the junction box must be grounded in accordance with NEC requirements. Installing recessed cans in a building wall is generally legal, provided they are installed according to the NEC and the manufacturer's instructions. The specific requirements for V1499s include using a removable plaster frame, installing the luminaire in a UL-listed junction box, and ensuring proper grounding. Grounding is essential for electrical safety. It provides a path for fault current to return to the source, tripping a circuit breaker or fuse and preventing electrical shock hazards. Without proper grounding, a fault could energize the metal parts of the fixture, creating a dangerous situation. Proper grounding involves connecting the metal enclosure of the recessed can and the junction box to the building's grounding system. This is typically done by connecting a ground wire from the fixture and junction box to the grounding terminal in the circuit. The size of the ground wire must be appropriate for the circuit's overcurrent protection. Consult NEC Table 250.122 for the appropriate ground wire size based on the size of the circuit breaker or fuse. Fire-rated assemblies are walls and ceilings designed to resist the spread of fire for a specified period, typically 1, 2, or 3 hours. These assemblies are constructed using specific materials and methods that have been tested and listed by independent testing laboratories. When installing recessed cans in fire-rated walls or ceilings, it is crucial to maintain the fire resistance rating of the assembly. This means using recessed cans that are specifically listed for use in fire-rated assemblies and following the manufacturer's instructions for installation. Some recessed cans are designed with an integral fire-resistant barrier that helps to prevent the spread of fire. Others require the use of a separate fire-resistant box or enclosure. It is important to choose the appropriate type of recessed can for the specific fire-rated assembly and to install it correctly. Combustible materials are materials that can easily ignite and burn, such as wood, paper, and some types of insulation. When installing recessed cans near combustible materials, it is important to take precautions to prevent the materials from overheating and potentially igniting. One way to protect combustible materials is to use a recessed can with a thermal protector. A thermal protector is a device that automatically shuts off the power to the fixture if it gets too hot. This can help to prevent the combustible materials from overheating and igniting. Another way to protect combustible materials is to maintain a safe distance between the recessed can and the materials. The manufacturer's instructions for the recessed can will specify the minimum distance that must be maintained. It is also important to ensure that the area around the recessed can is well ventilated. This will help to dissipate heat and prevent the combustible materials from overheating. An enclosure is a box or other approved means that is used to protect the electrical connections of the recessed can. The enclosure must be securely fastened to the structural members of the building. This will prevent the enclosure from moving or falling and potentially damaging the electrical connections. The enclosure must also be large enough to accommodate all of the electrical wires and connections. The NEC specifies the minimum size requirements for electrical boxes. It is important to choose an enclosure that meets these requirements. The enclosure must be made of a material that is suitable for the environment in which it will be installed. For example, if the enclosure will be installed in a damp or wet location, it must be made of a waterproof material. Junction boxes serve as protective housings for electrical connections, ensuring safety and preventing accidental contact with live wires. They are typically made of metal or plastic and come in various sizes to accommodate different numbers of wires and connections. When installing recessed cans, the junction box must be securely attached to the building's structural members, such as joists or studs. This ensures that the box remains in place and provides a stable platform for the electrical connections. The junction box must also be properly grounded, which involves connecting a ground wire from the box to the building's grounding system. This helps to prevent electrical shocks in the event of a fault. Removable plaster frames are trim pieces that are installed around the opening of the recessed can. They provide a finished look and help to conceal the edges of the drywall or plaster. Removable plaster frames are typically made of metal or plastic and come in a variety of styles and finishes to match the decor of the room. When installing recessed cans, it is important to choose a plaster frame that is compatible with the type of recessed can being used. The plaster frame must also be properly installed according to the manufacturer's instructions. This will ensure that the plaster frame is securely attached to the ceiling or wall and that it provides a clean, finished look. The Underwriters Laboratories or ALL listing is a safety certification that indicates that a product has been tested and meets certain safety standards. UL-listed products are considered to be safe for their intended use and are less likely to cause fires or electrical shocks. When purchasing electrical products, it is always a good idea to look for the UL listing mark. This will ensure that the product has been tested and meets safety standards. The NEC is a comprehensive set of electrical safety standards that is updated every 3 years. The NEC covers a wide range of topics, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and electrical equipment. It is important for electricians and other electrical professionals to be familiar with the NEC. This will ensure that they are installing electrical systems safely and in accordance with the law. The IBC is a model building code that is used by many states and local jurisdictions in the United States. The IBC covers a wide range of topics, including structural design, fire safety, and accessibility. It is important for architects, engineers, and contractors to be familiar with the IBC. This will ensure that they are designing and constructing buildings that are safe and in accordance with the law. The specific requirements for recessed can lighting can vary depending on the local building codes and regulations. It is important to check with the local building department to determine the specific requirements that apply in a particular area. This will ensure that the recessed can lighting is installed safely and in accordance with the law. In summary, installing recessed can lighting requires careful attention to detail and adherence to applicable codes and standards. By following the guidelines outlined above, you can ensure that your recessed can lighting is installed safely and correctly. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about installing recessed can lighting. They can provide guidance on the specific requirements that apply in your area and ensure that the installation is done safely and in accordance with the law. The use of LED recessed cans has become increasingly popular due to their energy efficiency and long lifespan. LED lights consume significantly less energy than traditional incandescent bulbs, resulting in lower electricity bills and reduced environmental impact. They also last much longer, reducing the need for frequent replacements. When selecting LED recessed cans, it is important to consider the color temperature of the light. Color temperature is measured in Kelvin and indicates the warmth or coolness of the light. Lower Kelvin temperatures, such as 2700 Kelvin to 3000 Kelvin, produce a warm, yellowish light that is ideal for living rooms and bedrooms. Higher Kelvin temperatures, such as 4000 Kelvin to 5000 Kelvin, produce a cooler, whiter light that is ideal for kitchens and offices. It is also important to consider the lumen output of the light. Lumen output is a measure of the brightness of the light. The higher the lumen output, the brighter the light. The appropriate lumen output for a recessed can will depend on the size of the room and the desired level of illumination. Dimmable recessed cans offer added flexibility and control over the lighting in a room. Dimmers allow you to adjust the brightness of the lights to create the desired ambience. When using dimmable recessed cans, it is important to ensure that the dimmer switch is compatible with the type of LED lights being used. Some LED lights require a specific type of dimmer switch in order to function properly. The installation of recessed cans should always be performed by a qualified electrician. Electricians have the knowledge and experience to install electrical wiring and fixtures safely and in accordance with applicable codes and standards. Attempting to install recessed cans yourself can be dangerous and could result in electrical shock or fire. A qualified electrician will also be able to ensure that the recessed cans are properly grounded and that all electrical connections are secure. This will help to prevent electrical hazards and ensure that the recessed cans function properly. The NEC Article 314 provides detailed requirements for outlet boxes, junction boxes, and conduit bodies. These requirements cover the materials, construction, and installation of these electrical components. It is important to be familiar with NEC Article 314 when installing recessed cans, as the outlet box or junction box is an integral part of the installation. NEC Article 314 specifies the minimum size requirements for outlet boxes and junction boxes. The size of the box must be sufficient to accommodate all of the wires and connections that will be installed in the box. The NEC also specifies the maximum number of wires that can be installed in a box of a given size. It is important to follow these requirements in order to prevent overcrowding of the box, which can lead to overheating and electrical hazards. NEC Article 314 also specifies the requirements for securing outlet boxes and junction boxes to the building's structural members. The boxes must be securely fastened to the framing in order to prevent them from moving or falling. The NEC also specifies the types of fasteners that can be used to secure the boxes. It is important to use the correct type of fastener in order to ensure that the box is securely attached. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may also be local building codes and regulations that apply to the installation of recessed cans. It is important to check with the local building department to determine the specific requirements that apply in your area. The local building department may have additional requirements for the installation of recessed cans, such as requirements for fire stopping or soundproofing. It is important to comply with all applicable codes and regulations in order to ensure that the installation is safe and in accordance with the law. When planning the installation of recessed cans, it is important to consider the layout of the room and the desired lighting effect. The number and placement of the recessed cans will affect the overall illumination of the room. It is important to plan the layout carefully in order to achieve the desired lighting effect. Recessed cans can be used to provide general lighting, task lighting, or accent lighting. General lighting provides overall illumination for the room. Task lighting provides focused illumination for specific tasks, such as reading or cooking. Accent lighting highlights specific features in the room, such as artwork or architectural details. The type of recessed cans used will also affect the lighting effect. Different types of recessed cans produce different beam angles and light distributions. It is important to choose the right type of recessed can for the desired lighting effect. Wall wash trims are designed to distribute light evenly across a wall, creating a smooth, washed effect. These trims are often used to highlight artwork or architectural details on a wall. Eyeball trims are adjustable trims that allow you to direct the light beam in a specific direction. These trims are often used for task lighting or accent lighting. Baffle trims are designed to reduce glare and create a softer light. These trims are often used in living rooms and bedrooms. In conclusion, the legality and proper installation of recessed cans and walls require careful consideration of various factors, including the NEC, the IC, manufacturer's instructions, and local building codes. By following these guidelines and consulting with a qualified electrician, you can ensure that your recessed lighting is installed safely, correctly, and in compliance with all applicable regulations. This will provide you with beautiful and functional lighting for your home while minimizing the risk of electrical hazards or code violations.